everybody. Today we're going to be doing a mold, but it's not just your typical pour in and mold. This mold is one that I made a long time ago in doing geodes, and it's silicone, and I just kind of free-handed it around on plastic and then went ahead and poured my resin. But today I want to see if I can anchor it to this piece of plastic that I have. And this is a pliable piece of plastic. What it actually came from is, if you know the back part of, say, Lowe's, which is where I got this, they have the indoor-outdoor pass-through that has the plastic things that hang from the big doorways. This is a piece of that plastic. Someone that worked there was nice enough to give us the scraps that came off of those. So I'm going to use that as my anchor piece for this. I have warmed up my hot glue gun. This is a cordless hot glue gun. So I've warmed it up, and I'm going to hopefully be able to get the glue on here and then turn it over onto my plastic piece here and have it all connect. Now I may be sorry that I'm putting it on this way, because it may harden up or leak inside of my mold, but I'm hoping not. Okay, let's do this, and then I want it a little wider than it was actually done. So I'm hoping. We shall see whether or not it leaks. It looks like there might be a couple of spots. I'm going to go around the outside of this with my glue gun again, just for a little extra added insurance. I have this little piece of wood, and it's got some pretty interesting details to it that I really liked. Now, where did I get this piece of wood? I'm going to show you. If you go to Home Depot, now not Lowe's doesn't have this, but Home Depot does. This is a shim, and they come in a bundle. My husband had to buy shims. He's in the middle of doing something. Anyway, he was taking them out of the bundle to put in a bucket because it's easier to handle them. And as I'm standing by, you know, gather it all together, Junkyard Betty here. Nothing against any Bettys. I said, oh, I see a couple of pieces that I want. And he rolled his eyes and said, okay, doll. So I picked out a few pieces. What we're going to try to do is we're going to do a very miniature version of, some people call them river tables, some people call them ocean tables, but we're going to do this on a small scale, and I don't care what you call it, ocean or river. We're going to put this bad bear in here. And then we're going to pour in some micas, and we're going to pour in some translucent resins. But for starters, we had to get this anchored down here, and we're set up. So I think we're going to be good. Hopefully we don't have to put more glue on here. What I did do, you can see that this is shiny. I used Minwax polyacrylic. . And I put a couple of coats on each side, and I coated the edges here quite a bit. I'm hoping that I'm not going to get a lot of air leakage. I assume I will get some, but I'm really hoping that this is going to work the way I want it to. So I have my epoxy all mixed up here. I've got 30 milliliters in here. I don't think I want a full 30 milliliters, but we're going to see. And we're going to be watching for a leak. And if there's a leak, I'm going to have to stop and clean it up and fix it with the hot glue gun. So we're going to pour around the outside, the inside of the perimeter. Does that make sense? Can I just tell y'all, this is starting to look really, really, really cool. The epoxy has set up, and if I can do this without knocking stuff over here, I'm going to lift it a little bit so you can see how cool. That being said, we are at the point where I can start to pour in my watercolor that I want. And I'm going to use Let's Resin's translucent pigment dye, and this one is just blue. There, that's about how much I want to put in there, and then I will decide how much I need of the mica powders. And I've shaken this up, and we're going to start with 1 drop. I think actually there's another drop waiting there. It'll have to wait. Okay, I think I'm happy with that color. I'm thinking this would look good under there. I'm going to put a tiny bit of 91% isopropyl alcohol in here just to make a slurry so that I'm not eating the mica powder. I put a few drops in there. We'll see what we get. You don't want a thick paste, but you do want it to kind of, it's more to absorb the powdery substance of it so that it mixes nicely with your epoxy, and that's what I've got for my consistency. Okay, let's pour some of our epoxy in here. And now I don't want this to be really deep, but I do want to have enough to cover the bottom. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of my resin and just set it aside. Ooh, that is so pretty. Is that gorgeous or what? So pretty. I'm just going to pour this around my wood. I don't want to pour it over it because this being such a small piece, it's not like I can put it on the planer and level it off. So I need to be mindful when I pour this of where it's going. Like I said, I don't want it on top of my wood. And my husband came home yesterday and I showed him what I did, and I said, see how cool this is? This is what I was talking about. And well, first of all, he flipped out because he thought, oh, that looks awesome. But then he said, what goes on in your mind that you think of this kind of stuff? My answer was, I don't know. Okay. I just want to scrape the rest of this in there, and I am going to kind of level it down and out a little bit. Sorry if my hand's in the way. Okay, let's see how that goes. I have toothpicks here at the ready for this little step. Just so I'm not mucking up all the other stuff. I don't want it to go amok, 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 amok. Once this sets up a little bit, after I pour the other blue in here, and this sets up a bit, I am going to come back and I'm going to stir it and wake up those micas underneath, because right now it's just going to want to all flow to the middle, and when it does, it's going to leave a striation that doesn't look at all like water. So right now I'm just moving it out, getting it to the edge of my mold. Okay, it's been a little longer than a half hour, but I wanted to show you. I kept this cup, and maybe you can see it stringing in there, but if you can't, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to go ahead and pull this toothpick through here and just make it look like the water is moving. I like what's going on right here, although you really can't see it that well there. But you can see that my water, or that my epoxy has thickened. And I'm just looking to get some sort of movement in there to make it look like the water is being shifted around. Oh, I can't get through there. And now, because this has thickened, it is going to hold its design that I put in it. So, whoops, I don't want that doing that. And we're just going to go around here. I am just pulling this through here, and I'm not making too much of a design in it, but just something for a little visual interest. I've got some stringers going on there, but that'll settle down. Sorry. There. That's what we've got. Okay. And I will be pouring my clear epoxy on there before too long, because I want it to have a mechanical, not a mechanical, I want it to have a chemical bond. So when this gets a little more stiffened up, there's a little tiny piece of glitter in there, and I don't want him. When it gets a little more stiffened up so that it's tacky but not stringy, then I will go ahead and do that clear layer that goes on the top, and then when we come back, you're going to see a finished product. So stick with me. We'll be back. We're back. I'm really excited for you guys to see this piece, and I've saved the unmolding so that y'all could see it. I had no leaks, big bonus. I did pour my clear topper on this because I wanted to encase the upside of this wood. I did have a few bubbles. However, I was very diligent and I stayed after the bubbles. I had one that kept coming up here, one that was coming up like over here, and then one right here. So I stayed after them. Once it, you know, stopped bubbling like crazy, I gave it like half hour, 45 minutes, came back, popped 2 bigger bubbles that kept coming here. Eventually I got down to 1 bubble and hit it with my torch, and it looked like it was going to leave a crater, but the resin was still pliable enough to move. It was still fluid enough to move, I should say. And it smoothed right out. So I'm excited about that. Let's get to the unmolding part. And I'm just going to pull this away. And there are different, you can see there's ripples in the side here. It's the same way on the inside. So there's lots of grab. And now I'm not sure if I have to pull up my, oh, I guess I can do it like that. It's pulling right away. Yay! Hopefully that glue didn't get in there and adhere itself to my resin. Come on out there, you. Oh, that one pulled apart a little bit, but that's okay. What I need to have happen, oh, it looks like that glue's going to all come up. I may wind up having to clean that all off in such a way that ain't nobody got time for. But let me pick this up and see if I can't pull it away here. I don't know if you can, let me show you. That's the bottom side. It looks like this will come away from here, but I'm going to have to work it. Yeah, it's working its way away. So, I don't know if you can see that it's actually working its way off of here. Rather than have you sit and watch this part, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then I will show you when I get it up off of here. We got it out of the mold. It wasn't as bad as I thought. When I was pulling it up, it pretty much just came right up. And the glue came off the substrate pretty well. I had to pull it in a few different strands, but other than that, I mean, I think it came up pretty well. This is the top side that we were working on that you were seeing. And this is the back side. I actually like the back side better, just because I'm not sure how well you can tell, but it looks like the wood is embedded into a soft pillow. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, it's really, really mucked up around the outside, and it is. I'm going to show you how I'm going to remove that. I'm not going to show you all of it while I remove it, because that's just boring, watching paint dry, watching resin come off. I don't know. But I'm going to, I'll do it over here where there's not a ton of it, but I want you to see how I take that off of there and clean this up. And I have a new blade in my X-Acto blade here. I'm going to try over on the thicker side here and see how we do with cleanup, because I think that's probably going to be easier for you to see and to realize. I'm just hoping that any glue that's left on there doesn't become liquid, because I really don't want it sticking to my fingers. Okay. But I do know that the resin did leak out under my form, and so knowing that next time I will put a deeper well of glue on my mold. Yeah, see, that's coming up nicely. And I didn't even heat all the way down here. And it's trimming up very nicely. There. And I don't have my thumb really in the way if when the blade decides it's going to cut loose, it doesn't really grab my finger. Or it doesn't at all. Okay, one more time I'll show you this, and then I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. But first I'm going to point out some things that I would have done differently. I would do differently if I do this again, and I'm pretty sure I will because I really enjoyed it. Just going to show you this. See, it's pretty thick in there. But it's not so thick that I can't get through it. And when you warm it up a little bit, your blade just slides through. Yeah. Until you get to where it's not. Oops, see, there was glue on that. I knew there was a little bit of glue, but I couldn't get it off. So, yeah, we don't like the glue. And that pretty much is coming off like no problem. The overage of resin. But I don't mind telling you, I'm pretty pleased with this. I don't always like everything that I do, but I think this came out kind of cool. There. I think that's good for now. Like I said, I'm gonna sand it. Especially like over here, this is gnarly. But what would I do different the next time? I would epoxy my piece of wood, even though it worked out really well with the Minwax. I would epoxy it first and be patient and wait. So that's one thing that I would do before I embedded it in any other resin, which is what you're supposed to do with the big ones. So that's number one. Number two, I would have used a lower concentration of my mica powders so that so that it would have been a little more translucent. I want to try to show you. All I've got in here is my UV light, but I want to show you. Can you see that? It does kind of show through a little bit. I would have liked more translucency in this piece. So I would have used less mica powder. And the other thing that I would have done differently with this is I think I would have, I like all these striations and stuff, but it's going to be a nightmare cleaning them up. And like I said, I'm not going to get them perfect because this is not a functional piece of art. It's just going to hang somewhere. But I would use more of a straight and smooth edge. Unless you're one who doesn't mind doing all that extra cleanup, you know, if you don't mind it, do it, you know, make your own mold and do it that way. But, yeah, so those are the things that I would have done differently. But other than that, I don't know, I think this is a pretty groovy piece. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. You will see it in the end reveal. And thanks for hanging in with me. I hope you enjoyed this. This was fun for me to do. It was kind of a spur of the moment type of thing, but I am digging it there. And I really wish you could see the depth and difference between this gradient edge of the wood and how it just kind of, how the resin just kind of fluffs around it. It's really difficult for me to explain. I hope you can see it. Yeah, there's some scratches on there. I've been moving it around. But this has been a delight for me. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. Are you gonna give something like this a try? I mean, we're talking about a bundle of scrap wood. Thanks again. I appreciate you and your time. I hope you loved it. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, why not? I see no reason not to. Go ahead and subscribe and leave me a comment. What would you have done differently? And let me know, do you think I should have used a smoother edge on my piece? Thanks for watching. Until next time, toodles.